are you ever forced to take survivor benefits from Social Security? You know, if you're married to someone and they pass away, you have the option of your own benefit or a survivor benefit. But sometimes the government makes that decision for you. Let's bring in my co-host, Tony Shore. Tony, we're talking Social Security again. We'd like to talk about it a lot. And I had a couple of people contact the show, call me up, one email, one phone call, about a similar issue, and I wanted to talk about it because I don't think we ever really talked about the idea of being forced to take a survivor benefit.
I've never heard
I
of
don't
such
think,
a thing. I didn't realize
right?
you. I didn't realize you were forced to take a certain survivor benefit. But why wouldn't you want to take survivor benefits, though?
Well, we've done shows on this, number of them. You, if you take survivor benefit before your full retirement age, you get a reduced amount.
Ah, okay, sure,
Right. So let's just go with a quick scenario. You're
makes sense.
63 and your spouse dies. You're on your own benefit, say, and you're collecting it. And it's a reduction. At 63, you took a reduced benefit of your own. But you were thinking, oh, my spouse is going to delay. And you do get delayed retirement credits. If your spouse waits till after 67, maybe all the way to 70, and they die, the survivor benefit includes those delayed retirement credits. However, if you're before your full retirement age, which is 67 for most people now, and you claim survivor benefit, you're going to get a reduction. So you'd
Hmm.
say, well, maybe I'll keep my own and then switch to survivor benefit when I hit 67. That's a reasonable strategy. But in some cases, you might not have that choice. So that's what I want to talk about. What happened? So that's the standard scenario. And if you're saying, well, tell me more about that, just watch the other show. We'll put it up here. We've gone through countless shows on survivor benefits and how you can make that switch. And that switch is not available anymore to people when they're alive. It's only available when you are a widow or widower. Now let's do a different scenario. Let's say that you are claiming spousal benefits. We just did a show on spousal benefits and how you can get up to half of your spouse's benefit when when they're alive. But let's say you do that. Let's say you claim a spousal benefit and your spouse dies. What happens then? Or your ex-spouse dies. You're getting a spousal benefit. Let's say you don't never worked or you don't have the 40 credits to create your own Social Security record. Or some will say you've never worked, Tony. I, you know, but
Oh,
let's just
Dan. Oh,
let's say
Dan.
you never put it into the Social Security system. Let's say that,
Right.
but you
Right. Oh, doing the show with you is work, Dan. Trust me.
So let's say you don't have your own record and your wife is collecting Social Security and you're saying, well, I want some. And you're collecting Social Security based on your wife. Okay.
Yep.
So you don't get any of your own record. You're getting, and let's say you waited and you're, and you waited until 62 and now you're getting like 37% of your spouse's benefit because you're up to half. Remember, we did a show on it. So
Right.
we watch it. And then your spouse dies. What happens to your spousal benefit? It's gone.
Hmm.
You lose your spousal benefit because
Y-
your spouse is no longer alive. Spousal benefit goes away.
So a spousal benefit goes away if the spouse passes.
Correct, because
Hmm.
you no longer have a spouse, you have a deceased spouse or a deceased ex-spouse. So if you're claiming benefits, and then here's the language from the Social Security website. If you're claiming a spousal benefit and it's based 100% on your spouse, and that spouse dies, the Social Security Administration will automatically change your benefit from spousal to survivors. They do it automatically. So you might be saying, well, I don't like that. But what's the alternative? Your
So the
benefit would
spousal
go away.
benefit may have been higher than the survivor benefit, and that's why you wouldn't
No,
like that.
the survivor benefit will always be higher than the spousal benefit because the most you can get as a spousal benefit is half. That's the most.
Right.
But when the spouse dies, now you get a survivor benefit, which could be 100%. Right.
So why
So
wouldn't you
if
want
you,
that?
why wouldn't you want that? Well, you wouldn't want it again if you're not yet your full retirement age.
Because you're going to lock in a lower amount is the key.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's this scenario where you're on. Well, let's change the scenario now. Let's say you have your own record and it's $600 a month and you claim it at 62, but your spouse is 70 and you're getting a spousal increase because you're getting half of theirs. They've already claimed and you're getting up to half. But let's say you claimed early, so you're getting a reduction, and now your benefit is 1,000, 600 of your own, 400 based on your spousal benefit.
Sure.
And your spouse dies. That spousal benefit disappears, kaput, gone. So instead of getting 1,000, now you're back to the 600. What I'm saying is, because of that scenario, you might be saying, I don't want my survivor benefit yet because I'm only 63. I want 100% of my survivor benefit, which you only get when you hit your full retirement age. So what do you do? And this is a unique scenario. So the scenario is someone's getting spousal benefits and they're not yet their full retirement age. So we're really looking at people age 62 to 67 right now. That's the wheelhouse we're in.
Hmm.
So it's a unique scenario. It's not unique scenario. It's a very specific scenario. But can you see a world where somebody loses a spouse and doesn't want to switch immediately to the survivor benefit?
Sure.
That they're under 67. Now, if they're 67 or over, they don't care. They're going to switch because, again, you don't get any benefit by delaying your survivor benefit past your full retirement age. You don't get delayed retirement credits on a survivor benefit if you wait until 70 to take survivor benefit. The max survivor benefit is when you hit 67, full retirement age or older.
Sure. So, is there a solution to this problem? Is there anything you can do about it?
Well, so yes. So if you're claiming spousal benefits only and you have no record of your own, the government's going to automatically switch it to survivor benefits, regardless of your age, because you don't have your own record. If you have your own record, you have an option. You can continue to get your record and switch to survivor later if it makes sense. Or if you haven't touched, if no one's claiming Social Security and you're 60 and your spouse dies, you could take survivor benefits at 60 and switch to your own at 67. But if you're already claiming and your spouse dies, you have this option. The problem is the government's going to do stuff automatically for you. So let's talk about that scenario again. You're getting 600 on your own, 400 on spousal, and your spouse dies. That 400 is gone. The government's going to want to switch you automatically to survivor benefits, but you may want to wait. So what I believe happens, and if you're listening and you think, well, this didn't happen to me, and the conversation I've been having with these people that have called in are their benefit was just it was suspended, and they're like, well, what happened? Why am I? And they were getting a spousal benefit, and their ex-spouse, they didn't realize, died, and they said, oh, now my benefit's suspended because they were under 67. They have to now make a choice. So if you want to get a survivor benefit, you have to you can't just do it online. You have to call the Social Security office and provide documentation and explain to them. So in the scenario where they're getting some of their own and some not on their own, I'm not sure that the government's going to do it automatically if you're under 67. They will do it automatically if you don't have your own record, if it's only based on your survivor on your spouse. When they die, you have no choice. It'll automatically become survivor benefit. But if you have part of your own, the question is, can you get a reduced benefit and then switch later at 67? And I think that could be the strategy for many people. But it could also be terribly difficult for you if you're 63 years old and your benefit gets cut in half or more because your spouse died. And at that point, you have to make the decision. Do I contact the Social Security office and get the survivor benefit, or do I wait it out? Do I wait it out until I'm 67 or older?
So it's almost
That's
like
the
waiting to
ultimate question.
file. You wait to file for your survivor benefit if
That's
you're
it.
already
You wait
getting
for the
some
moment.
of your own, if you can afford to do that, right? Is that
That's right.
basically what you're saying? Yeah.
Can you afford to do it? But for some people, it's going to be automatic because they never had their own benefit.
Sure.
And
Interesting. I never thought
for
about
most
that
people,
before. Survivor
yeah,
benefits.
yeah,
Yeah.
because for most people that don't have their own record, their spouse typically will die when they're 67 or older, when the person getting the
Right.
spousal benefit. So it doesn't matter. They'll switch to the survivor benefit right away because they're not going to get any more by
Right.
waiting. It's this
Right.
window of early retirement, early Social Security benefits, and the spouse dying when you're before your full retirement age. They
Mhm.
have a decision to make. And sometimes that decision is made automatically. And what I'm saying is, if the Social Security office does it automatically, you might be able to contact them and say, hey, I'd like to, if it's done automatically, that odds are you're already 67
Mhm.
and reach full retirement age, and you're fine with that move. That's the smart move to make.
Yeah.
It's the only move to make. But there's that tight window in there where you have to make that decision. So if you're getting a Social Security benefit and your spouse dies and your benefit gets suspended or reduced, the reason being is because you can't get a spousal benefit if your spouse dies. You can't. They stop it. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Interesting.
So it
Yeah,
surprises me.
it's a unique situation, but I can see it happening.
Yeah.
So what's your conclusion today, Dan?
It is, you can make a widow and widower are the only ones that are allowed to make this switch. Everyone used to be able to make a switch between their own and their spouse and all the time, and then they eliminated that in 2015.
Ah,
Um, the file and suspend, the restricted application, those are gone, right? So it used to be much more flexible. People could do things. However, a widow and widower can still make the switch. And so they have the opportunity to do some math and figuring it out. Sometimes people are in a situation where the switch is done automatically for them and they wonder why. And that's because they're getting a spousal benefit switching to survivor benefit. But there is that small group of people that still have that window and they don't realize it. So don't just switch to survivor benefits just because you think that's what you should do. Do the math at that point. And again, it's only for people between age 62 and 67 at this point, but it's something to consider. And if you just do what the government does for you, it's like also with the change, the Social Security Fairness Act with the government pension offset. It's automatic, but you don't want to just wait for the government. I think and this is June of 25. I think they're 90% through the backlog of people that have to get the switch. If you just wait for the government to figure it out and do it, you might be missing the boat. You want to be proactive in this case. So
right.
this is a message to those that are younger than 67 that are losing a spouse. You have a window here. Know that, understand it. Don't wait for the government to figure it out for you. Come up with your own plan and then
Yeah.
talk to the government. Right.
And here's another important piece of advice that I've been reading and hearing a lot about lately, Dan, regarding something like this. I know you mentioned call, but what you're going to need to do and have to do is go physically into the Social Security, a Social Security office, and you have to set an appointment before you do that. They're no longer taking walk-ins, or if they do, you'll have a lot of problems and big waits there. But if you can physically get into an office, call ahead to the Social Security and make an appointment.
Make an appointment. Yeah.
It's you got to have an appointment before you go, unlike before. And the wait times on the phone and the help you're going to get, they'll probably end up asking you to come down, is what I've been hearing.
Yeah. And your best bet is to have them call you back because the wait time could be 2 hours before you talk to someone.
Right.
Have them call you back and then set that appointment. And yes, you can't just go online and claim a survivor benefit. You
Nope.
have to to show documentation. You actually have to do something. You can't just click buttons.
Yeah.
So interaction is key when you're doing Social Security. So yes, I agree with you, Tony. Call early, call often, set the appointments, and then follow up.
Yeah.
So it was just ironic that two people had the same question from different perspectives on this issue. And I thought, wow, we never really talked about a scenario where
Right.
someone might automatically switch over their benefit without thinking.
Yeah, we haven't. I've never even thought of that, but because we've never been in that situation or dealt with somebody. But you got 2 calls, so it's happening.
It's happening for sure.
Yeah.
So that's it, Tony. I give people a heads up. If you want a Social Security maximization report, you want to figure out, well, yeah, I'm in that situation. Do I take it? Do I wait? I'll run it through the software. I do this all the time. I give you the report and you can make your own decision. It's just important to have the data so you know what your options are. Don't go in blind. And just give us a call or email and we'll set you up with that report at no charge. I'll put that number up in a moment. Tony, thanks for a good show. Have a great day.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Riddle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.